Hey Heather, how you doing? And yeah, just powering up, finishing my setup. Hey French fries, welcome. How's it going? Alrighty. Mm, just have to get my camera in the right place. That would be helpful. There we go. So I am currently, oh, Des is here, but she's going to be right back. So who knows if she heard me or not. But hey Des, welcome. Um, yeah, so I'm working on the painting for the next video, and clearly I have not finished it yet, so a little behind on everything. And I thought I would just stream since it's going to stream later today anyways. And what's it called? Um, I was worried that I'd finish the painting be before I have to start streaming, and then I wouldn't have anything to paint on stream. So yeah, excuse me while I do a quick stretch. Oh. All right. So how's everyone been? Heather, Des, French fries, how you all doing? Oh, Heather says I'm good. Good. Glad you're doing good. Hmm. All right, let's see where I need to fix things before I finish this painting. A few things that are slightly in the wrong place, which is not the worst thing in the world. Like, you know, being accurate isn't always the most important, but it's a balancing act between the two. I'm actually going to, I think, go back to an old tried and true method for me, which is I'm gonna use my quinacridone rose and just draw in some of the areas that need fixing. It does mean I'm gonna have to cover some of the marks that I make, but sometimes that's still easier. Oh, Heather, I'm glad. Thank you for the comment on the last video. I didn't respond. I hearted it, but I didn't respond because I'll be honest, I think I read it when I was really, really out of it. So I was like, I'll respond later because, sometimes writing words is just too difficult. So, but I do appreciate it. French Fry says, awesome painting, looking good so far. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I feel like there's an interesting thing that's happening, and I've never experienced this before. Um, uh, well, yeah, I'd say I never experienced this with painting, at least. Um, I'm doing what's it called? I'm doing so many paintings. I'm working, working so much, doing so many paintings that everything is just starting to kind of blur together. And I trust my decision making and I trust my instincts when I'm painting. But when I step back and everything, I I no longer feel like I have a good like grasp on whether or not what I'm doing is even good or if like my you know how you like sometimes you take a break from your painting, you step away and come back with fresh eyes to see things. I feel like I don't have that time. So I'm just, and all the paintings are starting to kind of blur together because of how much I'm trying to make. It's a very strange experience. Hey, Des. How you doing? Des says, I got a Twitch payment today out of the blue. I haven't streamed in so long. Maybe they owed me, but I'm going to start again very soon. I need something to keep me actively arting. Well, that's great. And it might have been that it was the way Twitch does it is um, they hold on to your payment until you've made enough. Like there's a threshold, and then they release the payments. It could be that you didn't meet that threshold, but they are only allowed, or their policy is to only hold on to it for so long. Um, so maybe that's what happened. Because I think they pay out every I think it's every $100 or $150 or something like that. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. Um, so if someone, if you have $20, they won't do it. That says, yeah, it's 50 for Canadians. Okay, there you go. So maybe that's why. Uh, that says, I think I hadn't confirmed my billing details in a long time. I did that recently. Oh, maybe that's why. So, um, on my streams, I usually, you know, talk painting, and of course, I'm very open to talking about painting related stuff if anyone is interested or not interested. Anyone has a particular subject or something they want to talk about. Oh, Des sent me a really good reel um, from a really good artist. Oh, I can't remember his Mucho Bucci, I think it might be. I'm not sure. I can't remember his name. He does YouTube and he does painting videos. Um, it was a really good one about what's it called? Color bounced color. If Des doesn't share it in the Discord, I will later. But if Des beats me to it, thank you, Des. No pressure though if you can't. Des says I can share it in the Discord. Okay. But no pressure if you can't. Um, but yeah. So obviously my channel is dedicated to art, and I try to avoid certain topics because I just don't feel like it's appropriate for what I'm trying to foster here. Having said that, the nonsense happening right now with Elon Musk is hilarious. And it's more just that I think it's funny and I think he's a joke and I enjoy that. So if uh if you want to get caught up on it, I am not a good source of news for it, but it's pretty funny. He's very petty and very silly. I think the thing is, it's French Fry says gives us a quick rundown. I haven't heard the news. Basically, he claims to be a amazing gamer. Like, um, there's a game called Path of Exiles, and before that it was Diablo 4, and then other games. And apparently he claims to be like one of the top 20 in the entire world. And it looks like he's basically people who do this not like professionally, like streamers who are in the top like 20 or top 100, um, called him out and basically said he's faking it. Um, French Fry says not after seeing his Elden Ring build. Yeah, his Elden Ring build is crap, but whatever. But they basically called him out for it, and he and Dez is saying Asmongold. Yeah, the Asmongold thing. Asmongold also criticized him, not just Asmongold, but he then leaked DMs from Asmongold and other stuff. He's just, and it doesn't matter what your opinion on Asmongold is, uh, because I have my issues with Asmongold. It's just Elon Musk throwing a tantrum, basically. He got caught. Like he got caught being, faking something, and he's trying to double down. Asmon has been streaming today, and it's hilarious. Um, I'll see it later. I have issues with Asmongold, but uh, numerous issues with Asmongold, which I don't really want to get into. But one of them is around his like stance on AI. It's not great, but whatever. That is neither here nor there because Elon Musk is just acting like a child. He's just acting like a little, I don't know, like I mean, he got caught, he basically he the assumption is that he paid someone to play his account and get it to the like highest level possible and then showed it off online as if he did it, that type of thing. Yeah. Des says Elon Musk had another fail today. his rocket blew up tonight. Oh, I didn't hear about that one yet. The thing is, like, if what's it called? You know, if you're gonna play a game and you're not the best at it, like, that's fine, right? Like, but if you're gonna claim to be one of the best in the world, um, you know, like, and you're not, why? I don't see, especially when you're like the richest man on earth. I really don't understand the mindset here, which just makes it all that more silly and to me. So that's the basic rundown of it. I do think it's worth, like, if you find this entertaining, I do think it's worth, there's like other, you know, there are channels on YouTube and stuff that cover it and get into the details and stuff like that, if that's of any interest to you. If not, like, you know, this is not an important thing, obviously. I will say personally, I I've kind of tried to step away from, I've been, watching a lot of news and watching a lot of politics and everything, and I'm tired of it all. So I've been kind of, for my own mental health, kind of just stepping away from that. But this type of news I find just entertaining. This is, I think a lot of people have been doing that, stepping away from politics and stuff. Probably, you know, it's exhausting. There's only so much, like, if you find it exhausting, there's only so much to do, you can kind of deal with, I think. Also, there's just not much for, like, the the election here is over. There's not much to do at the moment. So it's just like, okay, well, you know, I mean, there are local politics stuff to be you know, involved in, and but yeah, I am not built for a lot of that stuff. I'm just not, I'm not the person for it. I mean, I went to sleep at 6 a.m. today. So, you know, I was trying, I was hoping to have a video out today. Clearly that didn't happen. But yeah, like, I don't, I'm just not the person for it, for this type of stuff. So there's only so much I can tolerate. I have been getting into Marvel Rivals, which is it's nice to have a new game to play. Not that I really have much time to play. I've allowed myself a very small amount of time to play because I just at some point I'm just like I can't work 24/7, so I need a bit of a break. Um, but overall, I've been so busy that I've been watching other people playing because I don't have time to play most of the time. Like that's where I'm at the moment. I don't even, generally speaking, I don't really like watching other people play games. I rather just play the games. I never understood the appeal. Um, that's me. Like if you like it, enjoy. But yeah, I've literally been so busy. I was just like, I've been watching others play. But yeah, franchise says, I feel like I can't play video games and paint at the same time. It has to be one or the other. Just not enough time in the day. Uh, I totally understand that. Um, with my current schedule, I've just been, painting and making the videos. So, you know, just spending so much time doing that in addition to everything else, like, I have cats and I have a dog and I have other things that I need to take care of, Gotta take the time and feed the animals and gotta, sometimes I have to cook food because I haven't figured out a way to not eat at all, you know. Um, yeah. So, all those things just kind of, life stuff. Like you have to take care of that stuff, unfortunately. I wish, you know, I think that's the thing. Like if I was, like people, having like unlimited money or, whatever amount of money, like a lot of people are like, oh, the things that I would have, buy and all that stuff. I totally get that. But for me, obviously there's things I would love to purchase or have or do or whatever. Like I really want to travel a lot more than I have had the opportunity to, and so on. But being able to pay someone to take care of my day-to-day like nonsense that I just, you know, hate taking care of, oh my God, that would be something else. Des says, I canceled my WoW subscription. It was taking up too much time. I'm playing a different game, but not as much. That's good. Um, good for you. Like I said, I have not been playing out like a ton. It's not like I've been sitting and playing Marvel Rivals, and that's why I'm not getting the video. Like I didn't get the video out today or something. It's just it's a very small amount, and it's also a way for me to be social because I have some friends who play. So it's also that type of thing. But yeah, not it's not a problem. I've done that before. Like when Elden Ring came out. Oh my God, I was playing so many hours of Elden Ring. But yeah. Um, Des says I follow a few people on Twitch who uh have been playing it. Yeah. French says, at one point in my life, I was putting 50 hours a week into COD. Oh, that's crazy. There says Steve stopped playing WoW when he realized he'd called out sick 3 days in a row to play. LOL. I'll be honest, I tried to play WoW. Um, Never got into it. I don't know. Like I said, I did enjoy Elden Ring. I used back in the day. I also loved what's it called? Um, oh, it's like Marvel Rivals. Can't remember the name right now. Overwatch. That's it. Overwatch. I played a lot of Overwatch. Played with Steve a lot too. Um, but I never called in sick for work for video games. I never got to that point. And like I said, even now, like you know, I'm not like the videos aren't late. I'm not late because I played a couple games of what's it called? Marvel Rivals. This schedule that I have is just very, very demanding, and I'm trying to keep up, but oh, it is very, very difficult. There says, "Yeah, I remember when you guys played. He had fun with that. Yeah, we had a lot of fun playing Overwatch until they made the game not fun anymore. But while it was fun, it was fun. I think I have mentioned that the videos aren't late because I've been playing video games because I always get a little nervous that people will think that like I'm slacking off or something because um, there's a comic book artist who became like blew up, and not that I'm blowing up, I wish, but he blew up in popularity, and then eventually he put out his own series, and then I think it was like a new series, and then between issue, can't remember. I think it was like 5 and 6. There was a whole year, and then there was an even longer break between issue 6 and 7 or something like that. And when he was interviewed about it, he basically was like, "Yeah, I've been playing video games," and like that's kind of it. Like that's why the issues haven't been coming out. That's why like nothing has been getting done. Yeah. This says I worked from home doing customer service for an insurance company, incoming phone calls. I had WoW on constantly while I worked on a second PC on the desk. Yeah, I can I can see that. You can't do that with every game, but I could see that with WoW. That says it wasn't busy. I was the manager. You asked for if you were upset. Some games just require, a certain amount, a certain type of focus that others don't. Let's see. What else needs? Trying to see all the points that I need to mark before so right now I'm not looking at the reference. I'm looking at on my monitor, I'm looking at my painting with the reference overlay. So I can't see the actual um, reference. I'm just looking at like, the lines and certain areas to see if like basically certain edges of things where are mine and where I need to, change them if I need to change them. One thing I don't know about you all, but one thing I've struggled with and still do, it's challenging is I want things to be accurate, and if I can spend extra, sometimes it's like all you have to do is spend extra time and extra work to make everything accurate. So why not? Well, accuracy isn't always the most important thing, in all honesty, but it is, I do struggle with that, balancing accuracy to the overall look and also time sometimes. Accuracy is also a thing of time. Oh, just remembered I forgot to do something important. Um, just need to let Michelle know that I am streaming. Okay, there we go. Yeah, what was it? When I had a job at the Disney store years ago, and when I say the Disney store, I'm referring to the um like I wasn't at the store, I was in their like offices where they did where they took product shots of photos of their product, and I was a retoucher who fixed the product shots. And there's more than just fixing them. So there's all kinds of stuff basically before they put it online. And I used to, while I was working, I would put YouTube videos, or podcasts and stuff, and just run it in the background. I found out later, apparently, uh, my manager or whoever saw me doing that and like commented on it to my direct manager or something. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. He's just, listening. He's not watching anything. Um, but they apparently had a little bit of an issue with that, or someone did. The wow thing just reminded me of that. I'm just like, everyone I know who works in jobs like this, like where they're retouching or they're, you know, doing something of that nature, even storyboard artists and stuff like that, they all like listen to something, you know, have podcasts running in the background, or YouTube videos or something. Like, it's so common. I just thought it was funny that the person who doesn't do that stuff was like, he even working? Like, yeah, just look at all the stuff I've done. So I know I'm kind of making an outline right now, but I'm not too worried about that because I am going to mess a lot of this up as I go through it to paint everything back into place. All right, now everything's kind of placed. Oh, almost. One more little thing. All righty. All right. Give my camera a quick break because it might overheat. So now the goal is to paint in and refine everything, and to make it much looser and messier at the same time, which are two things that kind of go against each other. So it's a bit of a balancing act. There's an artist, um, I'm not going to mention his name. He does a lot of portraits. I follow him online. He's a good artist, but the one thing that I- I'm a little like I not frustrated with his portraits, but one thing that I don't like as much about his portraits is that a lot of his people kind of seem, what's the word I'm looking for? A little shiny or wet or oily. I know it's oil paints, but I'm not talking about that. I mean like their skin texture. Like it gives them that, I think because of how he handles highlights and everything, it tends to give them that feel. Um, maybe it's a little plasticky. I'm not entirely sure. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe because it changes a little bit from painting to painting. But um, yeah, not a huge fan of that aspect of his paintings. And I really want to make sure that that's not, I want to be careful that I don't introduce that into my paintings, which is, you know, doable, but just something to keep in mind, I guess. There's a lot of there's a lot of elements that create that look. Um, you know, smooth skin texture, much brighter highlights that are compressed into smaller areas, yeah, there's all kinds of elements that play into that. But uh just things I it's just one of those things I have in my head when I'm painting. There's so many little things I have in my head as I'm painting, like be careful of this or be careful of that, don't do this, do that. What are the just so many things like that. Luckily, like the more you paint, the more those things become second nature and you don't have to actively think about them that much, except for when you're trying to do, I'd say when you're trying to push certain things, you have to kind of be a little more mindful of things the more you push outside of your normal like boundaries. And I don't think this painting is necessarily like actually pushing me outside of my normal boundaries so much as it's I'm trying to keep the context of the video in mind as I'm doing it, and I think that's the part that's like kind of out of the norm for me. Not just like, oh, let's just make a good painting. So those elements are kind of in the back of my head. Shadows are really interesting. Um, obviously, well, obviously, maybe not obviously, maybe you don't know this. Form shadows are shadows that have edges, usually they have soft edges or lost edges. Usually it's actually, take that back. Form shadows usually have a combination of soft edges and hard edges, and they, you know, they kind of um, help inform what the form of the object is. Uh, think of a ball. You know, the common thing is the ball that's casting the shadow. The shadow that's on the ball itself is the form shadow. That was a long-winded way of saying something very simple. But yeah, that's what a form shadow is. And cast shadow is the shadow that the ball would cast onto the table. Um, shadows, sometimes people treat shadows as additive. Like if one shadow casts on top of another, like it'll be darker because, you have one plus the other, so they add to it. That's not quite how they work. They're subtractive. So the question is there light from the what's casting the second shadow? Is that casting light into the shadow? It's kind of backwards, but it's not, they don't add to each other, even though sometimes they can appear to kind of add to each other. Um, but yeah, shadows are so interesting because like in this one, there's her hands casting a shadow, but then there is fill light coming in, so it's darker over here, lighter over here, but then her shoulders turning, which is reducing the fill light. That's actually, I don't think it's fill light. I think it's bounced light for the most part, but it's reducing that. So there are areas that are getting darker within it, even further away. Also, there's something called, I think it's uh, what is it called? Not ocular inclusion, something like that. I'm forgetting the exact name. But basically, the idea is shadows get especially dark in like small areas where, like, close to where two things meet, because the bounced light and reflected light can't really reach those areas, or less of it does. So it becomes darker there. Once again, Mucho Bucci, or whatever his name is, actually did a video on that that was really informative and really well put together. One thing I had drilled into my head, I think in art school, was that the shadows, um, the lightest light in the shadows, because of reflected light and everything, shouldn't be lighter than the darkest light. Which I know it's not a perfect, you know, it's not perfect because if you have like a large painting, I'm sure there can be areas that differ. But if you're going to kind of break your painting up into, you know, light planes and dark planes, it holds pretty true. Hey, first time chatter. Madoti, uh, you can't hear me at all? Never mind. Could have just not been talking. I don't have music, so there's that. How you doing? Welcome. I try and talk throughout the stream, but sometimes I run out of things to say or I get distracted. My brain can only process so much at the same time, so I do take short breaks sometimes in between. How you doing? You're good? You? I'm okay. You really look like Harry the boys from Disco Elysium. Well, that's cool. I've never played Disco Elysium. I've heard really good things about it. I love the art style. I've seen art from it, and I love the art style. I've never played it. I don't think it's m my type of game. I might. I've I've been what's it called? I've been um tempted to watch YouTube videos about Disco Elysium, about like the story, but I've always stop myself because I'm like, well, maybe I'll play it one day and I don't want to ruin it for myself. But I might give in and just watch some videos about it so I know the story. He strongly suggests I play. It's wonderful. I've heard really good things about it. I just don't think it's my type of game. I tend more towards like more active games. Story games usually don't do it for me. I like stories. I just not in that way. I don't know. But yeah, that's why I keep holding off because I'm like I should try it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. So, yeah. So our Madoti says, I know what you mean. I generally agree, but Disco Elysium is very much different from the average graphic novel or point and click. Okay. All right. I won't give in yet. I'll try and I'll put it back. I don't know if I have it on my list, but I'll put it on my Steam account and set it, keep an eye on it. So, the words you learned to paint. Kind of a combination. I went to art school at a non-credited art school in LA that no longer exists. They shut down. But yeah, it was called Associates in Art. And then, but I never learned to paint oils. I'm painting with oil paints right now. I learned other stuff, acrylics. I learned watercolor, but never learned to paint with oils. And after art school, I actually pretty much went all digital. So I have a background in digital art as well. Um, and then like trying to remember, I think it's like 7 years ago at this point, I was um, I was tired of working for other people all the time, and I still work for other people, but I wanted to make some art that was, personal for me. So I decided to get back into traditional mediums for my personal work, uh, to give it, more, so it'd feel more different than what I was, doing for work at the time. So I decided to go into oils, and honestly, once once I got into oil paint, like it took a while. It was actually pretty slow, but once it clicked, and that was it. I was just like, oh, this is the paint medium for me. Let's see. You are incredible, to be honest. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's very sweet of you. Um, you know, there's so many amazing artists out there. Um, and I appreciate that. That's really kind of you. I'm assuming you're a artist as well. If not, that's cool too. I just assumed. Let's see. I've been 1 year on Twitch looking at undertaking streamers, and no one is looking at underrated streamers, and no one is as underrated and as good as you. Oh, thank you. Uh, do you do it for a living? How'd you guess? LOL. Yeah, right. I have to be honest. Most of my viewers are artists. It's like 90%, I think. Yeah. So I do storyboarding. I storyboard for TV animation um, for a living. Although at the moment I'm in between gigs because that's how that works sometimes. You're in between jobs, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, that's what I do. I also, you know, if you're a creative person or you work these industries, I also do photo retouching and stuff like that too. And I do commissions and like I have a indie comic book cover that I'm going to be working on. But yeah, all kinds of stuff like that. Hey, Dresden. This is Dresden, one of my cats. I have three cats. Okay, Dresden. Okay, little boy. Ah, yeah, he's cute. Um, all my cats right now are um, what's the word I'm looking for? A little hyper. They want to be fed. It's almost dinner time. For them, they claim it's dinner time about an hour before it is dinner time. But yeah, little boy, you can't eat my nose. Stop that. Why? Why all the licks on the nose? Okay, say goodbye. Say goodbye. So do I have any advice for a less developed artist? Sure, tons of advice. It kind of depends on where you're at with things. Um, so, you know, it just there's a it does depend. What type of art do you do? What's your background? Some stuff like that. I can go, there's always the generic stuff. It's like do figure drawing if you can, work from live models as much as you can in the beginning, especially. Using photos is great too. It just depends what you're trying to do. Photos are a great way of, studying anatomy. Obviously, learn anatomy is always very good. Drawing is the foundation of painting, but I'm also not going to say that like, you can't paint without that you have to like spend years drawing before you start painting. Like some people will say that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but yeah. Let's see. I don't have a type of art I've picked yet. I'm still experimenting. That's great. Experimenting is great. I think experimenting is great on a lot of levels. Like you never know what elements you will bring from different types of art into a different type of art, you know? So my background initially, I wanted to be a comic book artist, right? Um, and so one of my favorite two of my favorite artists, oil painters, are they're high up there at least, is Rockwell and J.C. Leyendecker. And J.C. Leyendecker, he does these marks with his oil paints that really remind me of cross hatching, and I really love it. You know, so you never know where you'll find stuff. So experimenting is great. Um, let's see, Heather over on YouTube says Zenyatta was asleep, but she looked too cute, so you had to pet her and woke her up. So I am clearly the worst cat mom ever. Oh, clearly. So yeah, you know, always if you're very new, the thing I would say is if you're very new to art, um, experiment. It's great. Work on the fundamentals, uh, because the fundamentals transfer over pretty much universally. Um, consume a lot of art. Consume a lot of art from very, very different types of styles. I did this when I was younger, but I don't recommend it. Don't rule out art. Like if you look at modern art or if you look at abstract art and you're like, oh, this is just nonsense, don't rule it out. There might be elements in it that you will gravitate towards. You might change your perspective years later. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying don't just, rule it out as like nothing. There are some limitations to that, but yeah. And then master studies are fantastic. It's a great way of learning and practicing. Obviously, if you can find a good teacher, teachers will help you develop faster and so on. Good art school, all those things, obviously, but it's not requirement. And then, in fact, at your stage, if you're very new, it might not be a good thing because a lot of teachers or a lot of ateliers will push you into a certain type of style. And if you don't know that that's what you want to do, it might be a negative. So yeah, I think that's some of my advice if you're new. YouTube has a lot of resources. I've been drawing for 2 years. That's good. Uh, you know, it's there's no set amount of time. I will say, if you want some more advice, deliberate practice is a great way of improving, but you have to know how you want to improve for it to be, um, you know, beneficial. But it is a great way of improving uh, much faster than like quote unquote normal. Um, yeah. But also it's not a race, right? Like experimenting is really important sometimes. And finding your voice, finding what you like. Don't worry too much about your voice either. Like don't worry about your style either. It will take a long time to develop your style. It can if you're, experimenting, and that's okay. Like it's not a big deal. So how do you do a good master study? So master study is basically trying to do a copy of a painting from a, you know, old master. It doesn't actually have to be an old master, but generally that's what people are referring to. So if you do a copy of And when I say copy, I'm not trying to say forgery. Not that not that doing a forgery is all that easy, but the idea is just to study it, right? So for instance, a very common one is to do like to take a painting of like John Singer Sargent and try and paint said painting, recreate it. Now, there's a lot of ways of going about this. Personally, I think limiting the amount of time that you spend on it is probably a good thing because, you're not really trying to, you're not trying to actually do a forgery, you're just trying to learn from it. So, you know, spend an hour, 2 hours on it, but, that I don't think it requires much more than that. At least not if that's, at least not in the beginning. Also, something worth mentioning is if you're going to do a master study, try and make it either 1-to-1 or close to 1-to-1 size wise. So, for instance, some of John Singer Sargent's paintings are really big. If you try to paint the whole painting in something this small, you're really going to struggle with it. But if you cut out a section and you try to just just do a study of that section, it'll be a lot easier and you'll learn a lot more from it because, there there are elements to painting that are dependent on the size that do change based off of, you know, the brushes you use. These are things that in the real world, there's a limitation to the zoom you can have if you do it traditionally, at least. If you do it digitally, it's still useful to try and do one closer to size wise, but it gets a little muddier because you know you have unlimited size brushes, you have unlimited size canvas, and so on. Or unlimited to your computer, I suppose. But yeah, that's what I would say for a master's study. Um, if you want more specifics, feel free to ask, and um, don't mind, getting into it more. But if there is any more, I don't know that there is, but yeah. And then there's a lot of YouTube channels that have really good information on, getting into art. Um, Depending on what type of art you want to do, there are different channels that I would probably recommend. It just kind of depends. But yeah, there's a ton of free resources out there to help. Um, yeah, I've been putting out some videos. I wouldn't really call, even though I put how to in some of the names, I wouldn't really call them how to videos exactly. Um, but I talk about like my thought process and stuff, and I mention other artists out there. Let's see. Des says, and there are lots of online free classes. They try to get you to sign up for membership and stuff, but they have good beginner classes. Yeah, Des knows more about that than I do. I when I went to art school, uh, you know, when that wasn't so much around, or I wasn't aware of it at least, and so not as informed that in that area. if you join the Discord, it might be easier to like link or talk about some of these things just because it's easier to link stuff there. But there's like Proco um, has a channel that talks about all kinds of elements on drawing and painting, and the Des knows one, the art mentor or the art teacher or something like that. Um, yeah, and there's more. I can't think of them all. Des says you can look up Jed Dorsey. He's doing a class soon, starting the 20th. Can you put that in the YouTube chat too? Heather might be interested in that. She might not, but she might. French fries too, although I'm not sure. Uh, Madoti says, I'm gonna join your Discord. Awesome. Yeah, it's not the most active Discord, but I say that in a positive, like we're not spamming a lot. But everyone's very responsive. Like people reply and everything. It's just we're not like constantly. I don't know. I'm a part of too many Discords and I struggle to keep up with them. So I'm like, it's cool. Thanks, Des. I appreciate that. You were checking the mail? Oh, Heather, I was saying you might like this class that Des shared the name of. Do I have any advice for using uh, colored inks? Um, not not too much, honestly. It kind of depends on how you're using them. Um, there's different ways that you can use colored ink. I um I don't have a ton of experience with it. I mostly used colored ink to essentially I essentially used it basically like watercolor, but single colors, right? So I wouldn't really mix them as much as I would just dilute them to make gradients. Um, but I don't know that I have much advice for that. Um, Unless you're inking with them, meaning using it as line work, and you're just using colored ink for that. But that's a little different. Not exactly sure. I have experience with inking and stuff like that, but I don't know how much it kind of depends on what your question is about that for advice. Yeah. Because I used to ink my comic pages And I also used to work in pen and ink too, and a lot of watercolor. If you want, you can, you can share your art in the Discord, and there should be, unless I messed something up, there should also be a critique corner where you can ask for, you can ask for feedback, and if you want specific advice, that's also, I mean, if you have a specific question that you have, by all means ask in the Discord. But if you don't have a specific question, but you want advice on how to improve, that might be something for you. And if for some reason I don't feel like I can give you any advice, like if you're working in a medium that I just don't have the experience in, I'm not going to BS you and tell you like, you know, to like I'm just not. Like if I don't know, I don't know. I don't know every medium. Some things are, some things are specific to the medium, some things aren't. It just kind of depends. One thing I've learned when moving from, traditional to digital and then back to traditional, um, a lot of the things are, a lot of elements are all the same, right? In the sense that like, drawing, painting, um, you know, it's all like the goal, not the goal is all the same, but a lot of the elements carry over. There are specific like there are specific things that are like unique to each individual medium. Like I don't know that I could give, like I do know some acrylic stuff, but I probably wouldn't give a great advice in acrylics. Like if you ask me, like, you know, how do I control this element of the acrylics? Like I have some basic advice, but there's probably people out there who have much better advice on that. But that doesn't change when like that, that's like that's just like how to use the medium. And that changes from medium to medium, but it doesn't change like what a painting is. So it just kind of depends. This finger is really awkwardly posed, and I am getting annoyed by it. It's a really awkward foreshortening happening here. Annoying. Um, Madoti says thanks for the advice, by the way. Absolutely. You're welcome. I'm happy I'm happy to share. Um, I think generally speaking, most artists I know, like talking about art, like sharing, like happy to help other artists. Yeah. If you like my paintings and stuff, you should also check out on YouTube Our Painted Lives. Um, you're going to have, if you're not familiar with them, you're going to have a ton of videos to watch. Um, yeah. Um, Nicholas Uribe is the painter, um, called Our Painted Lives on YouTube. But yeah, they did a ton of videos. And now they have a Patreon, which obviously you have to pay to be a part of the Patreon. They're still doing videos and stuff. It's a good Patreon I think it's worth it. But, you know, if you just want to go watch their YouTube videos, you have about, I think, 4 years worth of videos and live streams. So, at least 2 years for sure, worth of videos practically. So you got plenty to watch. Shoot. All right, I am probably going to have to take a short break to feed the cats because it's almost dinner time, and yeah, they need to be fed. All right. Actually, I think I'm going to have to do that right now. I'm not going to end stream. I'm just going to put myself on break for a minute and go feed the cats. Um, I'm also going to try and run an ad on, what's it called? On Twitch. I don't usually run ads on like on purpose, but since I'm going to take a break, might as well. I'm not sure I know how to run an ad on YouTube, so I don't think I can actually. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna take like oh, I'm not. Oh, Midori says, "All right, I'm gonna go to sleep. Bye." All right, no worries. Have a good night. Um, and yeah, um, okay. I don't have a way of yeah, I don't have a way of running an ad on YouTube, but I will run one on Twitch. Uh, if I can figure it out. If it's easy. How do I do this? Um, Come on, it shouldn't be that difficult. French fry says I'll go get snacks. Yeah. Um, okay, I don't know how to run an ad. Yep, I don't know how to just run an ad. Oh well. Oh well, I thought I could figure it out quickly. Nope. All right. All right, I'm just going to be on break for a minute and go feed the cats. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I I have to I have to stand there and watch Dresden eat because if I don't, the other cats will steal his food. He's just too he's just too gentle. Like he'll let the other cats just take his food. Won't do anything about it. All right. So for a painting that I'm trying to loosen up in or be loose with, I'm definitely getting a little bit lost in some of the details here. But they're, they're not mutually exclusive. Like you can have both. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So there's a kind of an odd thing happening here because of the I'm not entirely sure. I think it's like a dual light source that's happening here, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, it's not clear enough to me exactly what's going on. Um, but there's like this, I'd say, cast shadow on her, um, right here, which, if the light source is coming from here, this cast shadow makes sense. This one that's kind of orange and brighter uh, doesn't entirely make sense unless what's happening is there's actually like a fill light coming in from this direction. Um, and I would think it would have to be a cooler light to make the shadow look kind of orangey. Um, that's my assumption. It definitely is creating some weird or unique elements in the painting, or in the reference, I should say. But yeah, I think that's why there's a lot of like greens and yellow in her skin. I think they have like a cool light that's causing that. And Trey says, I'll be back in 30 minutes. Okay. Have a good whatever you're doing for 30 minutes. Hey, Cassandra. Welcome. How you doing? Better. How are you? I'm okay. I'm a little disappointed I wasn't able to get this painting done for a video today. I just, yeah. I put a lot of pressure on myself to get things done in time. Uh, to hit deadlines and so on. Even self-imposed deadlines. So yeah, I'm a little bummed out about that. I'm trying, trying to get everything done. I have, I do have a lot on my plate at the moment, but yeah. Let's see. Cassandra says keep going when things don't go perfectly is a big problem for a lot of people, myself included. And they see you just kind of keep going no matter what. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. I mean, yeah, uh, yeah. I, you know, I don't know. Thank you, I guess. Um, yeah, I'll keep at it. I'm not planning. No plans to stop. Just a little bummed out that I can't hit all my goals all the time. All my deadlines all the time type of thing. Sandra says, I get that. Glad to see you are here though. Yeah. Well, I was worried about streaming today. Um, I was worried that I'd start working on my painting and I'd finish it and then it'd be time to stream and I wouldn't have anything to stream. Um, so I decided to stream a bit early, so that I, could work on this on stream. We'll see. I know, like, as things stand right now, I'll get this done tonight and I'll be able to have a video up tomorrow, which is great. Um, I don't know if I'll be able to do another video and get the video out for like Saturday, even still within the week, even if it's a little late. But I don't know that I'll be able to. So, like I said, it might just end up being three this week. Um, yeah. Um, Cassandra says, and the power has to stay on in the cold. Well, there is that too. We're expecting some freezing temperatures. I think the weekend, right? Like starting tomorrow night. Yeah, and possibly snow Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, I heard. Yep, possible snow Monday and Tuesday. As long as it's not crazy like it was in, you know, what was it, 2021, it's fine. Heather says we might get snow in New Orleans next week. What the hell? Yeah. Cassandra says, I'm imagining you just painting by candlelight, like the olden days. Uh, I don't know how they did that, I'll be honest. I feel like candlelight is gonna mess up your colors so badly. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I think I know how they did that. I think I do know how they did that. They, first of all, they had limited pigments back then. And they did a lot of layering. So they probably limited some of like what they did by candlelight to things that wouldn't be affected by it as much. Or they just had recipes that they followed. And so they're just like, okay, well, I'm doing this, so it's this, this is what I'm doing. Hey, Dresden, stop that. Getting into everything. Cassandra says grisaille by candlelight, color in the sun. My assumption is it would have to be something like that. Like I said, they might have had recipes, so they might have been able to do some of it, um, you know, more like by candlelight, because it's just like, okay, after after I do this, after I do the grisaille, this is the next step. I could see that too. Because and the reason I say I can see that is because I've painted like that before when I was in art school. That was one of the things my art teacher, one of the ways we learned to paint. So I could see some of that happening that way. And like I said, they had much more limited pigments, so it's like, okay, after you do the grisaille, you do a wash of, I don't know, umber or I don't know, something like that. It's like the same every time almost. Just softening an edge over there. All right. Let's start finishing this painting. But yeah, otherwise I really don't know how they painted in candlelight. Man, with my sleep schedule, I would lose so many hours of, so many painting hours if I didn't have electricity. Sandra says too true. Yeah, seriously. I would have to move somewhere where, you know, I think I'd have to move every 6 months to different part of the planet where they and you couldn't do that because moving would be too slow. Um, but I think I'd want to live the places that have like they have like almost 24 hours of sun year round for part of not year round for part of the year. I feel like I'd want to do that just to get more painting time in. And then, you know, You do that for half of the year, and then when it's the other half of the year, move to the other side of the planet and do the same thing. Although I don't know if there is a other side of the planet that does that. Is there a side on the south, towards the South Pole that gets like nearly, you know, that gets like, I don't know, 20 hours of sunlight or something like that? Like, does that even exist? That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know if any place goes, you know, south enough uh, for that. Obviously, this is not a very practical way of living a life or reasonable, but now I'm curious. But luckily, we have electricity most of the time, and I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore most of the time. Unless it gets a tiny bit windy. Yeah, in 2021, I think it was, we were without power for I think it was like a week when there was a big snowstorm. Um, and without power, without heat, without uh not being able to drive anywhere, all because of like the mismanagement of the electrical grid in Texas and also locally because of the way that they've been mismanaging the electrical grid with building and so on. So yeah, it was a big deal. Cassandra says the worst thing was not having hot water, in my opinion. I don't know. I think not having heat was kind of a big deal because our house it got really cold inside the house, you know. Um, yeah. Like I understand not having like I understand like if we had heat, we would have just had electricity. I get that. But I'm saying like, if it was, let's say if the heat was gas controlled, then, it's not, but I'm just saying. Cassandra says, I don't like being grubby, and those were some grubby days. See, I get that, but personally, like if there was heat, like if we had, if we could turn on the heater, then I've done this in the past, I'll take a cold shower and then, warm up. But if when you get out of the shower, you're getting out to, if you take an ice cold shower and then you get out of the ice cold shower and it's just ice cold outside, that's how that's how you get hypothermia. See, so I was in the military. I've taken some pretty cold showers. So like, that's fine. I'll manage. I've had to deal with like crummy conditions. I'll manage. Um, but it's like one or the other type of thing. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Fingers crossed it's not that bad this coming week. Some of the issues that we had, they fixed here locally specifically. Maybe. They've improved it for sure. We don't the power doesn't go out every time there's a little bit of wind. I mean, it still happens, but I don't know. I feel like they've improved it slightly. But yeah, I will update everybody if we have a bunch of power outages and everything, I will update everybody assuming that I can, um, you know, regarding stream schedule. But just know if you see, um, oh, what's his name? If you see Ted Cruz fleeing the state again, just know it's probably bad. And I might not be able to, you know, notify everybody. That's how you know it's really bad. Sandra says bingo. Yep. My favorite bumper sticker I think that I've ever seen is a Ted Cruz bumper sticker. And um, I don't quite understand it. Like I don't know how this came about, but it's a round bumper sticker and it has a photo of Ted Cruz in the middle, and around it, and like around the top and the bottom, it says, "This man ate my baby." That's it. I don't know why this happened. I don't know who made it, but I love it. Cassandra says, "I love that sticker, LOL." Yeah, it's so good. It is so good. Cassandra says, "I also don't really understand it." Yeah, I don't know what the origin of it is, but it just every time I see it, it just makes me laugh. One thing I don't think I addressed in at all, but doing a very loose painting of pretty women, generally speaking, is more challenging um, than of not pretty women or older men. Wrinkly old men is the easiest. Pretty women and young, children are probably the hardest because the more lines, the more stuff you put into their face, the more it tends to age them, the more it tends to, you know, affect them in those ways, or our perception of them in those ways. It is doable, obviously. It's just, it adds more complexity to it. and can be challenging. That says it's 9 Fahrenheit here right now. So you guys stop complaining about the cold. Haha. Okay, fair. It, but I will say this. My complaint is less about the cold. I know you're joking, and I get it. You're dealing with cold that we're not. My complaint isn't so much about the cold. It's about them not being prepared to deal with the cold at all, right? And that's the real issue. You know, I mean, we're not we're used to it though. Yeah, exactly. You're used to it. We're not. And yeah, we individually can prepare better, but it is a little challenging to spend, a ton of money on something that you might not use literally for years, you know, in preparation of a freeze. Um, you know what I mean? Um, but the more than that, it's the roadways, it's the infrastructure, everything, nothing, the government not being prepared for it at all is the big issue. Like, I need to find out. I mean, obviously, it's probably too late for, this upcoming week, but I kind of need to find out, should I get chains for my car tires? Like, would that be a good idea? Um, I know people use that to drive in snowy conditions, but I don't know what the restrictions are on that. Like, what does that do to the car, to the road, so on? Because they do not prepare the roads here. Yeah, I remember um, I went to visit my dad in Maryland um, one year in November, and I've told this story before, but I walked out of the airport and it was snowing and there was sludge everywhere, or it had snowed and there was sludge everywhere, and it was so cold, and I was just like, "Oh, I am never going to be able to live on the East Coast. Like this is horrible." And then I went and I helped my uncle with his he had a place out in the North Carolina in the Outer Banks. I helped him with some like fixing some stuff around the house, and like he was putting in a new sink or something like that. And it was like -10 uh with wind chill or something, and I was just like, "Oh, no, I can't do this." Let's see. Heather says, "Whoops, I think I lost you." I don't know what that means. Am I? No, it doesn't look like I'm muted. So there we go. No, it was me. Okay. Okay. French fries. Okay, I'm back. What's happened? Um, well, you missed a pivotal moment where I took a break and I went to feed the cats and nothing was happening on stream. Um, yeah. No, obviously, I mean, I did do that, but obviously not. You didn't miss much. How you doing? Welcome back. Hopefully the painting looks slightly different. Not like majorly different, just slightly different. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we've just been talking. There's a big snowstorm. Well, that might be an exaggeration. We might get snow here next week, which the track record has not been great for our power system for when we get snow. So I was saying I will let you all know if something happens and I can't stream because of that, unless things are really, really bad, in which case you'll probably see on the news that Ted Cruz, takes a sudden trip to Cancun or something like that. Um, you know, if Ted Cruz takes a sudden trip, you hear there's a snowstorm in Texas, and I disappear from the internet, we probably just don't have power, and I can't even post online about it. But other than that, not much has happened. Just slowly making progress on this painting. No, that's too light. I learned something interesting about the chin, which I thought was, you may have also seen this online, so you all might know about this already, but I thought it was interesting. So the chin has a unique set of muscles, or it is a unique set of muscles compared to other muscles in our body, because most of our muscles attach, um, they attach from one, they attach from one bone to another, basically, right? That's how our muscles are designed. Uh, Except for the chin. The chin actually attaches to the, it's attached on one side to the bone of your skull, but on the other side, it's attached to I guess, your skin, the underside of your skin in a way. That's why it has those like dimples to it when you do certain movements with it. All those little dimples are like the muscle fibers pulling a little bit. Cassandra says, yeah, that's why it can be uh, sort of bumpy in a way that's like nothing else is. Yeah. Wow, that sentence was terribly sorry. Yeah. Um, yes, exactly. That sentence really was terrible. No, I'm kidding. Yes, that is why. Exactly. Sandra says, I can't even be offended. I said it first. I mean, it was just a joke, regardless. I know you know that. I'm just saying, like, this woman's eyeshadow is insane. The model's eyeshadow is crazy. It's so bright. I'm tempted to get another color, like a cad red or something for it. I don't think I will, but tempting. So it's both orange and purple, which is the crazy part about it. And it's so bright. Something worth practicing if anyone is painting traditional medium and wants to like just practice something. Um, Trying to keep a consistent color, or more accurately, the perception of a consistent color with something that goes from light to shadow, um, like this, like you know, what's it called? Like the eyeshadow is a really bright orange, and I have to show that it's like going from light to shadow, um, but staying the same color, even though it's not actually staying the same color. Uh, Something to practice. You can, flowers are a great way to practice that, I learned. Okay, that's a little inaccurate, but I'll fix it as I go. Every time I do something like that, like I say I'll fix it as I go, and then I go back and fix it, I think of Des because she gives me a hard time when I do stuff like that. Okay, it was bothering me that the eye was looking so like distorted, even though I knew like that would definitely get fixed. But yeah, there we go. All right. I might have to mix a fresh purple. I feel like too much yellow got mixed into it. When a color does go from light to dark, often, not always, often, um, you get it desaturates as it when it's in the shadows. And the reason is because you have less light on it, so you can't see it as well, so you can't see the saturation as well. However, um, like everything in art, that's not always true. Sometimes the light can be too bright, it desaturates it, or the shade of the light, like the color of the light, conflicts with, what you're looking at or what it's lighting, and that is actually desaturating it. Also, some things like skin um, has something, what is it called? What is it? There's a name for it. It's when the light passes through, subsurface, no, something like that. But basically, when the light passes through something, um, for instance, your skin, um, subsurface scattering. I think it might be that, but there might be something. I don't know. My brain's saying it's like that, but there might be something a little more to it. Anyways, but yes, and so that can create a lot of saturation um, in certain areas. And that doesn't just happen, for the record, that doesn't just happen to our skin. A lot of things have that. Um, Oil paint has that, for instance. Um, Acrylics can as well. So that can create, different like degrees of saturation and so on. And, depending on the type of skin you have, it can change how much of that you have and so on. Like, it varies so much. I'm trying to lose some of the side of this face to make it just softer in general, but I do want to keep some of the warmth there too. Yes, at this point, I am starting to break a little of the like reality of things a bit. Um, I'm just trying to make it interesting, you know, add something to it that isn't in the painting or in the reference, I mean. There's an artist, I'm trying to remember his name. I think it's Zimmin or something like that. Maybe I'm getting completely confused. But he's an amazing artist. He does these really beautiful, very super loose, abstract. Well, not abstract. They're not abstract at all. But these portraits that are just so loose and so like just beautiful. His colors aren't very realistic a lot of times, but it doesn't matter. No one cares. They're so beautiful. Um, and hopefully people aren't expecting me to do quite paintings like that because yeah, I don't know how to do those paintings. Like or I haven't practiced this. Yeah, it's not the type of painting I do really. Oh, apparently I've been putting my finger on the painting. I didn't even realize that. Thought I was on the board, not the painting itself. Surprisingly, a lot of people think that like those those paintings that are super loose and painterly are done very quickly and, freely. And sometimes they are done quickly, uh, because it's fewer strokes, depending on how you do it. Clearly, I don't subscribe to that too much. But a lot of times it's a very measured uh, type of process. And because of that, sometimes it's not very quick at all. Or if it is quick, it's the part where the paint goes on is very quick, but the lead up can sometimes be very slow. A lot of preparation, a lot of like making sure everything's right and so on. Alrighty. I think I'm going to be ending stream in just a couple minutes. So, any last minute questions? Now's the time. Oh, that is too much blue. Jeez. I'm using phthalo blue, and that amount of blue is just gonna overpower everything in my mix. Okay. Alrighty. I think I'm gonna call it for the stream. I will finish this painting tonight, have a video tomorrow. That's the plan. But yeah, I'm gonna have to end stream, take a break, get some dinner, so on. Thank you all for joining me. Um, sorry, my brain's starting to I'm starting to like space out. So thank you all for joining me. You know, join my Discord if you're not a part of it. Sandra says brain isn't braining. Yeah, exactly. And you know, follow my YouTube channel and so on. Subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you all very much. I will see you. I'll be back on Sunday to stream. And like I said, I'll have another video out this week, at least one more. But yeah. Another says, bye, Leon. Another informative and fun stream. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Bye, everybody.